Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on the Corvette, and yes, I'm already kind of nasty, but that's because we've already got head started on our next project. You guys might be wondering what our next project is. Well, long story short, we're getting new headlights for the Corvette. There is a company out there called Vette Lights. They are producing these C7 style headlights for the Corvette. I was actually already looking into swapping the C7 headlights into my Corvette because my passenger side headlight, I'm not sure if you guys can see that because I've polished this out, but the clear coat is peeling off in big sheets on my passenger side headlight. Like there's a spot there, there's a spot here, spot here, spot here. Basically what's happening is over time the GM factory headlights, the clear coat just peels right off in strips. I had my car taken into a shop for some work, and they put this protective wrap on it. This may not be the same material, but it's a similar material. And they put that wrap on the headlight. When I got the car back, when they ripped the protective film off, it literally ripped the clear coat right off the headlight. So every time I see that stuff being used, I'm like, eek. You know, use something else other than like industrial strength, like protective film, because that stuff grips pretty good and rips clear coat right off. So this headlight needed to be replaced, the lenses at least. And the GM stopped selling the headlight lenses because they all have these issues. They never issued a recall for these, and my Corvette kind of hit it really well, but I've known for like 2 years that this headlight alone needs at least new lenses. And those lenses vary between $200 to $400, and then if you send your headlight in to get the lens replaced, it's going to cost you basically $1,000 to have someone else do the work for you. Now, I am very DIY, so I thought about it. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna have like $300-400 in these lenses. Each headlight literally takes like 4 hours to do. So times that, you know, say your labor is $100 an hour. So you're gonna have $400 for lenses, 4 hours per light, 8 hours per light. So that's $800 in time, you know, if you want to consider it like that. So your headlights are basically gonna be about $1,200, you know, if of your personal time plus the cost of the lens. Oh, I forgot, there's a cost of the sealant that they use to seal the lenses to the opening, you know, to the housing. So what did we pick up? As you guys can see, the new headlight is behind this protective wrap, which I was kind of just complaining about. Now this particular wrap, I mean, it's almost like static cling only. There's no adhesive to it, so it came right off. So what do we have? We have a LED headlight. It's completely LED. The DRL has an LED strip in it. The turn signal has an LED strip in it. And the high and low beam are both LEDs as well. And as you guys can see, it's a black housing. At least the plastic inside the light is black, and the lens itself is pretty much clear. There might be a little bit of tint to it, I'm not sure. We have new headlights. I'll say this, guys, that $1,200 is about what these cost. However, I worked out a deal with Vette Lights where I still paid for these, but I didn't pay $1,200. Kind of got a pre-order discount and another little bit of a discount if I agreed to film a how-to install these headlights. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. So creating content for you guys, I got a bit of a deal on the headlights. And so here we are. C7 style headlight, old, cloudy, peeling clear coat, Chevrolet headlight, and the HID on this side wasn't bad yet, but it was getting, you could tell that it was aging. So we've got all LEDs. They should use less power, so that's good. Not that we're really worried about light power consumption, but you know, more efficient. The LEDs should last longer, and you don't have to deal with an HID ballast. So as I said earlier, why am I all nasty? Well, that's because I already installed the passenger side headlight. Let's go check it out. All right, so here is the C7 style headlight installed. You've got your black housing, like I said. You've got your C7 style LED DRL, your turn signal, and the high and low beam are in the housing. In direct comparison to stock, DRL, high beam, and low beam. The high beams are only halogen in the stock assembly. The low beams are HID, which are aging, and HIDs were the bee's knees 10 years ago. Everything now is LED, and I saw this headlight style, so, you know, it is what it is. And now let's show you the direct comparison of the installed C7 style versus the C6 light. Oh, and one thing else I should add, all the lights are LED, and these lights are actually from a very well-known LED manufacturer, Morimoto. They are, man, they make lights for all kinds of cars. And when I saw these C7 style lights last year, you're gonna laugh. I actually saw it at a YouTube video or a Facebook video was shared, and they were in China. I mean, we can't deny where this stuff comes from. It comes from overseas. So some kind of car show, had no audio or anything. It just had like a yellow C7, just like the C6R, I'm sorry, on the wall. It had a C6 Corvette with aftermarket headlights and taillights. Now, the taillights, until I see those in person, I'm not super sold. Plus, honestly, I don't really need to replace mine. Like, mine are working just fine. So, let's get the show on the road and show you these front headlights. Now, you're gonna hear all kinds of things going. That's the pump for the supercharger, as well as the, I think they left the HVAC on. Stock headlight, 50,000 miles. You got your amber halogen DRL, your HID low, your halogen high, and this headlight hasn't started to peel the clear coat yet. That's actually dust you're seeing on there. Hasn't started to hit the clear coat, but there's actually a rock chip in this one. So there's a rock chip on the driver's side. Now, let's go over here. Newest headlight assembly. You got your DRL, you got your LED high and low, and let's turn the turn signal on. So here's your front end turn signal, just a amber bulb. Some people put those switchbacks where they turn between yellow and red. I'm not a huge fan of those, and so that's your turn signal. Now here's the passenger side already swapped turn signal. You guys can see it's sequential. I believe the C7 has that same style. It's got the sequential. There's two things you can do. You can run this standard or sequential. I decided to go sequential. Why not? If you want to run it as a standard bulb, as a standard light, all you have to do is take the fender liner off back here and plug two harnesses in, plug two pigtails in, and you're good to go. Now, let's show you the high beams. All right, driver's side high beam. Halogen light, like I said. Old technology. Passenger side high beam. Another LED bulb. Try to get a shot of the actual light. Oh, there you go. So that's the high beam. Look at the toolbox over in the corner, and you'll see there are two beams. So there is a high beam. So there is a high beam with the LED light. That's the one thing I haven't seen clarified. No one's actually turned on the high beam. That right there showed you that there's another bulb in there. It's in the same housing assembly. It must be just aimed slightly higher. All right, now we're gonna get started on the install. I have the car on a lift. You do not need a lift for this swap. However, one thing I'm gonna say, you do need to be able to turn the wheels. And if you've got the car in the air on a lift, you can just grab the wheel and turn it manually. Otherwise, you're gonna have to get in the car, you're all hot and nasty and covered in mud and crap. Get in your driver's side seat, potentially ruin the seat. So that's just a fair warning. But if it's in the air, you just slightly turn the wheel. All right, guys, we're gonna get started by removing the driver's side inner fender liner. This isn't gonna take too long. There are 4 7mm bolts And then there is a Torx T15 bolt on the bottom. And we're just gonna take these 7mm bolts out. Alright guys, so those are the 4 7mm bolts. I saw an old video on YouTube where a guy said it was 5/30 seconds. That may be right in a conversion, but this is a 2005 Corvette. Chevrolet hasn't used the standard sizes in forever. So, you know, they haven't used Imperial. They've used metric for like at least since the late 80s. Yeah, I think every car. My first car was a Chevy Beretta. It was an '89. Somewhere in that J-body Beretta era is when they switched. So, take out those 5 volts, and then if you guys, I'll grab the tripod. If you guys look in here, there are going to be 3 push pin clips that you need to remove, and we'll remove those, and then you'll have full access to inside of the inner fender. What we need to do next is actually take out 3 bolts holding the fender to the front bumper. These are all going to be 10mm, and I'm just going to use my ratchet, and you'll see them. They're fairly right in the face. And there are going to be these washer nuts right like this. Take out 3 of those. Now, that's the easy one. The other ones, you're kind of going to have to put your socket on the nut first and then put your tool on it, because you're reaching around, basically reaching around a corner and you can't see the nut. That's 2. And the third one is going to be just in front of the load. Alright. It's the 3 nuts that you've taken off, and we'll be able to pop the bumper loose, and the fender is down loose as well. So as you guys can see, the bumper is basically detached. Alright guys, the next thing you're going to do is take all of the T15 Torx bolts off. They're really screws. T15 screws off the inner fender, connecting the front fender to the plastic subframe underneath. It's not a plastic subframe, there's a formal name for it. However, before you do this, I'll show you what I did, guys. You'll see this little silver mark right here. I basically took a silver Sharpie, put a mark there, here, and up front. That way when I want to put the fender back to its original location, I won't have any alignment issues. I'll have marks from the front going to from the back of the fender going to the front of the fender. So we're going to be good there. Some of you guys might cringe. Guys, it's a Sharpie. Just get some rubbing alcohol, it'll come off. Or use something else. The silver is highly visible and I'll be able to get it. Plus, I don't really care, to be honest, guys. So, we'll get all of these screws out. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 6. And then, guys, there's actually going to be a 7mm screw. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a 7mm screw underneath the bumper that holds the front of the fender to the car. And the other thing that you need to do is actually remove the there's 4 7mm screws up front that hold the bumper cover to the front fender lip, bumper lip, and take those out, and you're going to pop the security tab right here off, lift the bumper cover up and over that. Once we get this fender loose, we'll actually be able to take the headlight out. There's 3 more bolts underneath. Alright guys, we are taking the 3 bolts sorry, the three like nut washers that hold the headlight to the basically cradle that they sit in. I've gotten two out. Unfortunately, guys, there's no way to show you where these are. I mean, they're buried, you know, up in a like crevice almost inside this fender well. So basically what you're gonna do is feel around for, you can't even see them either. Like, you feel around for a stud or the bottom of a bolt, and you'll eventually run into these. There's three of them. Take them out. The other video that I've seen online where the guy removed the headlights, he's like, oh yeah, just take them out by hand. That's incorrect. You're gonna need at least a self-ratcheting wrench to get this apart. Now, I got the first one out with my Milwaukee ratchet because you could reach it, but there's a brake duct in here, you know, just in the way, and this little 10mm self-ratcheting wrench is probably the best tool for this job. Could use a 3/8 standard ratchet, but this just seems to be easier for me. So I've gotten two out of them, 2 out of the 3 out. This last one, I'm just gonna have to play around, find it, and remove it. Because, like I said, they're kind of, oh, I found it. You can't see them. They're kind of a pain to get to. So you're just gonna have to, you know, put your hand around in here, you'll find them. All right, guys, as you can see, I got the front bumper taped up and the fender. The only reason I taped this stuff up is because there are studs on the bottom of the headlight, and I didn't hit anything. I do have a clear bra on here. I got it covered in Expel, but you know, it's just a sharp pointy object that could go right through paint. So just get some painter's tape and go to town. You don't need a lot, just the leading edge I think could be good enough. So we got 3 bolts out. As you guys can see, the fender can lift up. What I did on the driver's side was actually lift the fender above the front bumper, and that gave me just enough room to like get the mounting those 3 studs I was telling you about, to get those off and out of the cradle that they're basically sitting in right now. Alright guys, I think we got 2 of them. Alright guys, got that back stud out. I heard it basically almost grind itself against the cradle that it's sitting in, and it finally came out. This out. Kind of got to twist the headlight a little bit, because you got to get this stupid front. There's like a circle on the front of the light. It almost is like Chevrolet engineered a bolt to go through it or something, but nothing goes through it. So I don't know why that's even there. It's this one right here, this hole that honestly could be taken off with a Dremel. It'd be freaking perfect. But all right, we have the headlight almost out. Now you can disconnect it from the main harness down here. So there's a little protective plastic shield inside this little wire harness that basically prevents the harness from backing out due to vibration. Take that out, unplug the harness, and here you go guys. That's one C6 Corvette headlight that's been removed. And like I was trying to show you earlier, here's that little protective clip. It basically slides inside the other end of this and prevents the whole harness from unplugging. So there you go, that's removing the factory headlight. All right guys, here is the C7 Morimoto. Keep calling it C7, it's not a C7, it is a C6 headlight. But as you guys can see, it's plug and play. This will plug right into that factory harness, and I'm even gonna put the anti-back out safety clip back in. However, there is one thing that you guys need to do. Wire harness comes with the light kit. What you need to do is plug this in through the bottom before you put the headlight in, because I basically had to take the passenger side headlight out a second time and plug this little harness to right here but I can't plug it in right now because I need to run this through the underneath the chassis up and back through this hole right here. As you guys can see, I got the harness under here. Basically, it's running underneath the frame, through this hole, underneath the frame, above the radiator shroud, basically the shroud that keeps the air going into the cooling pack, underneath the air filter, underneath the frame on the other side, and into the bottom of the passenger side headlight, because this is plugged into the fuse box on that side. So, install this wire first. It's going to be this right here. Unfortunately, they zip tie it like really close to the back of the light. I wish they gave us another 6 inches. I mean, that's all you would need. And you almost wouldn't have to like plug this in first. So it's just something to make note of. So plug that harness that we ran into the bottom of the light. Alright guys, after you plug in that little harness like I just showed you, the one that we ran, plug in the factory harness. Now this side. Alright, that's in, surprisingly. The driver's side, or sorry, the passenger side, I had to like really squeeze this light assembly, the harness to go in. I'm not really sure what that was about. Alright, so I'm putting that little gray plug protector back in. Alright, that's snapped in. Harness isn't going to go anywhere. And the trick to this, put this box on the tray behind the light, the cradle that it sits in, and then kind of slide the light in like so, but lifting the bumper and the fender at the same time. Alright guys, as you can see, this thing's like 90% in. We just gotta line up the holes and basically push it back down. Alright guys, you gotta just wiggle it. I know it sounds kind of weird. Just gonna kind of wiggle and jiggle things until it gets in the right position, but alright, we're pretty much there. Now, before we go any further, turn the car back on and see everything works. Alright, I can see the lights working. Alright guys, as you can see everything's working. The LED light's working, the DRL's working, the turn signal's working. Do the brights work? Yep, brights are working. Alright guys, as you can see, we have finished up the driver's side installation. Yeah, I still gotta put the splash guard on and a couple more bolts, but I wanted to show you guys the finished results. There's the driver's side headlight, LED's working, low beam's working with the LED. Here's the passenger side with the LED DRL, the LED headlight. And actually guys, it kind of makes my halogen side marker lamps look kind of bad, so those may need to be upgraded too. So anyway guys, that's pretty much a wrap on the Morimoto Vette Lights C7 style headlights. The only other thing I'm going to show you is the wiring, and it's very simple. In regards to the wiring, you guys see that wire that's right next to the air filter that's kind of running down and below the frame? If you follow that underneath the air filter all the way to the passenger side, you're going to see the same thing. Same wire running up under the frame. That wire connects to the bottom of the LED headlight. And then the other part of that wire feeds back through here and up into the fuse box. So here's where it gets kind of tricky. They don't tell you what fuse to use. I think that's just one of those liability things they don't want to be responsible for. So here's what everyone that I've seen has recommended to use. they were recommending use fuse number 6. It's right here. It's row 16, it's the second fuse in. So here is row 16, second fuse in is going to be the O2 sensor. Some guys say no, some guys say it's fine. I mean, these are strictly for the DRLs, just those little LED strips. I don't think that's going to impact the O2 sensor in any way. Well, like I was saying, basically plug that into a switched 12 volt fuse. Basically when you turn the ignition, you want those to be working. This O2 sensor is a good one. As you guys can see, I actually have another tap fuse in here that is actually going to my external fuel pump. That's just the power switch giving power over to the hob switch. So there's multiple locations you can get a switch 12 volt source. O2 sensor, fuse number 6, it's the one I've seen thrown around. And basically, you run that wire up underneath the gas hood strut, down underneath the frame, up into the light, and then this light, as we showed you earlier, that wire goes from this light to the driver's side light, and that completes the chain. So fuse panel, passenger side headlight to the driver's side headlight. That's it. You know, there's no cutting, there's no heat shrink tubing. There's just simply using a pair of pliers, removing that number 6 fuse and putting in the tap fuse. And it came with the same voltage amp fuse. It's a 15 amp fuse. So that tap fuse, it's almost telling you that to use the O2 sensor. Now, for getting these things aligned, I kind of pushed them all the way forward and to the right. So like kind of push it forward like that. And that gave me a nice even gap on the gasket that goes around the light up top. And it gives you kind of an even, you know, around the edge, and on the bottom you get about a fingernail, just underneath the width of your finger on the bottom. And that's a pretty even gap all the way around. Same with the driver's side. I pushed it all the way to the forward spot, like that way, instead of the passenger side was like that. So push it all the way like that. And it gives you about, you know, finger width on the bottom, and it gives you a nice even gasket on the top. So, and honestly guys, if you need to get back into realigning the headlight, all you gotta do is pop off these 5 bolts on the back, maybe take out the turn signal bulb, the side lamp bulb, take that out, and that will give you plenty of room to get your hand underneath here to get the 3 bolts out and twist and turn the headlight as you see fit. So, but alignment's up to you guys, or if you don't feel confident, go to a body shop. They'll probably charge you an hour or 2 labor getting the headlights straight. If you guys have any questions, you know, obviously feel free to reach out to me. And like I said, Vette Lights is where I got the lights. They've got a website, they've got a Facebook page. Trying to think if there's any specific. No, just Vette Lights. They'll hook you up with these. And that's gonna be about it, guys. You know, it's not super complicated, nothing too crazy. Just tearing the front end off your car. Now, if you guys don't want to get crazy, you guys could take these lights apart. I mean, just order the gasket kit from one of the various suppliers. I think they sell the gasket. It's maybe like 50 bucks, 20 bucks per side, 25 per side. Buy the gasket kit, take these lights apart, and paint the black housing. If you don't like it, go crazy. Paint the housing, and you should be good. Like, the stuff should come apart to where you could do that. But I haven't seen it done yet, but I'm not saying you can't do it. You probably could. So I don't see why you couldn't. So that's a wrap on that. If you guys like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you aren't getting my notifications, make sure you hit that bell button, because we know YouTube isn't telling you about any new videos being uploaded. And the last thing, if you want to help support the channel, click the links below. Thanks guys, have a great day.